In this lecture, we're going to see Apple options and try to understand how time decay works. So we've seen that we have all these different option series for Apple. So the first series right now is the Feb 2013 series, which actually have 0 days to expiry. They are expiring today. Then we have a March series. Then we have some weeklies actually before that. And then we have the monthly, the March. Then we have the April, which is 63 days away from expiry. And then we have May. So just like we did in the case of the house, what we are going to do is we are going to assume that Apple doesn't move. So it's at around 465 today. And we're going to assume that Apple doesn't move in the next 3 months. And if it doesn't move in the next 3 months, what would these options look like? So this allows us the best way to understand time decay, because we can actually see the time decay for real when we make this assumption. So first, let's go out 91 days to the May expiry. And I'm going to open up the Apple options for May. And what we are going to do is look at the 465 call and the 465 put. Now, you have to bear in mind, time decay works exactly the same whether you're talking about calls or whether you're talking about puts. So we don't need to look at both of them. We can just study one of them, and then you'll find that time decay works exactly the same on the puts as well. So just to keep things simple, we're going to look at the calls. So the 465 call in May has 91 days to expiry, and it's going for a last traded price of 26.3. Now, we are looking at a live market. You can see prices change, and today Apple is down another $1.88, and that's why you'll see calls are generally going to lose value, and you'll see puts are generally going to gain in value. So the at-the-money 465 call option is going for $26.30. Now, if we assumed that Apple does not move for 30 days, if it doesn't move for 30 days, it remains at 465, then what is this option going to look like? How much is it going to cost? Well, it's very simple for us to find out. All we need to do is come to the April series, which have 63 days left, and look at the same option. And that option is going for $20.65. So the May was going for $26.30, and the April is going for $20.65 for the same strike price of 465. So if Apple did not move for 30 days, this option is clearly going to lose about $6 in value. It's going to lose $6 in value between the May series and the April series. So in about 28 or 29 days, that's exactly what the time decay of that option is going to look like. Now, let's do the same. What if Apple did not move for another 30 days, 28 to 30 days? Then what would the price of this 465 call look like? Well, it's very easy to find out. Let's come to May and look at what that 465 call is going for. That 465 call now is only $13.65. So let's just go back and see. I think it was around $20, and so it lost $7 this time. Previously, it had lost $6. Now it loses $7. So now we have 28 days left to expiry. The value of this option is going to be $13.65. Now, let's move. Fortunately, we have some weeklies here, so we can actually look at how time is getting eroded from these options. So the March series has 28 days. Let's say 1 week passes by, and then we look at this weekly series. We'll know exactly how much this option has lost. Again, you can see the 465. It's come down to $11.95. So I think it's lost about $2 in a week. Now, move it 7 days more, and this option has is going for $9.90. Looks like it lost another $2. And then let's come finally to the 465, and here you'll see it's lost almost $4 because it's come down from $9.90, I believe. Yes, $9.90 all the way to 605. So it lost about $3.85, 75 cents in the 2 weeks prior to expiry. And of course, if 465 remains out of the money in the last 7 days, then this option is going to lose all its value. So let's see, today we have this option expiring. So you can see actually today was a very good example where you can see how it has come down to 90 cents. So we looked at this all the way from the May series, which had a value of almost 30, let's go there. The May series had a value of $26.30. It came down to $20.65 the following month, and then it came down to $13.70, and then to $11.95, and $9.90, and $6.05. And finally, it's down to 91 cents today. This option expires today. This series is expiring today. So right now, Apple is at 464.89. So the 465 call is still a little bit out of the money. And if it remains out of the money by the market close today, this 93 cents is also going to evaporate and it's going to come down to zero. So that's how we look at time decay in these options. Now, what I want to show you is the concept of intrinsic and extrinsic value. We did see that in the course on call options and put options. But what I want to show you is this, that time decay only impacts the extrinsic value. So we're going to start again with May. You can see in May, the 465 call has zero intrinsic value. It has zero intrinsic value because Apple has not yet reached 465. And the entire value of the option is $26.20. You can see all the intrinsic value of all the options that are in the money. So anything below 465, all these strike prices are in the money. And you can see that the exact, what is the intrinsic value, what is the extrinsic value. So this is in May. So now let's come to April and look at the same options. And you'll see even in April, the intrinsic value is the same. It's the extrinsic value that changes. So if you saw this in May, the 465 had extrinsic value of $26. So the entire value of that option was extrinsic value. Similarly, even in April, you're going to see the entire value of this option is extrinsic. But you saw that the time decay only impacted the extrinsic value. And it doesn't have any impact on the intrinsic value of the option. Similarly, let's come down to March. And now you can see that the intrinsic value is 4 cents. That's because Apple is just poking its head above the 465 level. It's a live market. It's poking its head above and then going back down. So regardless, you can see the entire value of this 465 is extrinsic value. And if you looked at any other options, the intrinsic value of that option cannot get destroyed. So why does the intrinsic value not get destroyed? Because if this option were to expire today, that would be the intrinsic value is the value of the option. So, if that is its true value, then it cannot be eroded by time decay. It is not extrinsic value. It's, this is intrinsic value. This is the true value of this option. So intrinsic value cannot get destroyed by time decay, and time decay only impacts extrinsic value. So now you can see that in the Feb weekly series, we have the entire value of the option is all extrinsic value. Similarly, you'll see the same for the other weeklies as well as the March monthly. You'll see that all the time decay is happening only on the extrinsic value and not the intrinsic value. Now, there's another concept I want to show here, because we did look at it even in the course on call options and put options, and that is this concept of extrinsic value being the maximum for at-the-money options. So in any series, whether it's calls, puts, whether it's the March series or the May series or any option series, you're going to find that extrinsic value is always the maximum for an at-the-money option. And so this is about as close to at-the-money as you can get. 464, it's almost at 465. And the 465 call or the put, you can see either one, the maximum extrinsic value will always be on the at-the-money option. And why is this? Because this is very interesting. Why is the extrinsic value the maximum for an at-the-money option? And to understand that, you have to think of the concept of uncertainty. The at-the-money options represent the maximum uncertainty among all these strike prices. So if you go deep in the money, let's say 440, and the 440 has only $4.77 in extrinsic value. And why is that? Because extrinsic value really represents the uncertainty value of this option. Remember, an option is successful if it can go in the money before the day of expiry or by the day of expiry. So what are the chances that this option, this in the money option at 440, what are the chances that it will remain in the money? It's pretty good because, it's already in the money. It's in the money by over $25. And so at least as far as now, as far as this current moment, this option has a very good chance of ending up in the money. So therefore, its extrinsic value is going to be less. If you look at the 465, this option, which is closest to the stock price, is going to have the maximum uncertainty. In fact, the probability of this option ending in the money is almost exactly 50-50. So because it's, the current price of Apple is straddling that strike price right there. So this option has the maximum amount of uncertainty associated with it. And extrinsic value is nothing but a quantification of uncertainty. There's maximum uncertainty associated with the 465 strike price. Therefore, the 465 strike price is going to have the maximum extrinsic value. Now, what about an out-of-the-money option? So let's take the 490, and you'll see that the 490 has an extrinsic value of $5.10 and no intrinsic value. Well, it's got no intrinsic value because this option is clearly out of the money. But the reason its extrinsic value is also so low is that at least for the current time, the probability of this option ending up in the money is also very low. So the amount of uncertainty associated with the 490 call option is also less, just like the 440 was also less. So we're talking about the amount of uncertainty associated with it. We're not talking about whether it's going to end in the money or not, because this option is already in the money and this option is obviously completely out of the money. But the amount of uncertainty, at least at the present moment, is not very high, because it is likely that 490 is going to end up out of the money. And it is very likely that this option also is going to end up in the money. So even though one is ending up in the money and one is ending up out of the money, that's not the question here. The question is how much uncertainty is associated with that particular option. And I think you can intuitively say that any option that is closest to the money, which is what we call at the money options, those options are going to have the maximum amount of uncertainty associated with them. And whenever you have the maximum amount of uncertainty, clearly they are going to have the maximum amount of extrinsic value. Because extrinsic value really is a way of quantifying the uncertainty associated with that option. So that's as far as this lecture is concerned. In the next lecture, I do want to touch upon another subtlety of time decay, which is very critical. So we'll get to that in the next lecture. Thank you.